Oh, God. So this fella came all the way down from Wisconsin to see me here at the Volkswagen dealer to service this F150, and it's gorgeous, by the way. I pulled the rear drain plug. Mind you, it's a 9.75 rear end in this with a locker, and I think it's a 355 gear. Look at this coil of spring or wire or something that came out attached to this drain plug. What do you guys think that is? Where did that come from? Did it come from the locker? I don't know anything in the rear end that would have a coiled up wire like that. Maybe the locker? I have no idea. Alright, well, aside from the little mishap that we found on the drain plug, what I did find here is I got fluid out of it. See the fluid down there in the bottom of that container? That's the old fluid, and we're going to use our machine to fill it back up. Well, our Mighty Vac. I had to order this because I've wanted one, and nobody in the shop has one other than one guy, and he's kind of particular about lending it out. So I said, you know what? I'll buy one for myself. This is the Mighty Vac model MV7201. It fills and it sucks. You can go both ways. Push the plunger down, pull the plunger up one way or the other, like so, and it will fill and it will suck fluid out. So now we're going to put fluid in there and fill up this rear end. Alright, I've got it in there. I've got the switch popped up. Got my plug in and tight. Now, start pumping. It'll go on its own. You can pump a few times and let it keep it's filling right now. Fresh fluid going in there. See the yellow line full of fluid? It's going just nice and slow though. It takes a while with gear oil. It's dropping slowly. Gear oil is pretty tough. Every once in a while, you can come back over here, repressurize it, and if you put too much pressure in there, it's got a little pop off right here. That will. So you pressurize it and then you let it work. Let's look and see what the old fluid looks like. And honestly, it looked like the old fluid was kind of low. But look and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, it's shiny. It's shiny. It's got a lot of metal and bearing material in that. You see it's about to start running out. Not quite there yet. Almost though. And as soon as it starts running out and you got pressure in that Mighty Vac tank, you switch the valve in the opposite direction and it lets the pressure go. And I can see it starting to get really shiny and glimmering like it's about to come over the threads. Right there, see how it's starting to drip down? That means it's full. Go ahead and shut it off. And just let all the pressure out, put your plug-in stuff back in, and move to the front. Alright, then to do the front, you got to take the lower cover off, you got to take the material shield off first, and then take the metal one off next. Then you can get up underneath here, figure out where the drain plug is on this thing, which is going to be on this side over here. And let's go ahead and crack that loose. 3/8 drive ratchet, just like the back. Go ahead and pull it out of there. Front differential plug is pretty darn clean, so we're good there. Just having a little bit of a worry on the back, and I think the back, it's one of the axle seal springs is what it is. And this is what it looks like as the old fluid is getting sucked out. It's got a filter right there, so then you could go back and check the filter if you want. But it's pulling the front diff fluid out right now. Alright, the front differential's done and sucked out. Let's see what type of fluid we got out of here. Shiny. Alright, got the fresh fluid going in. And there you go. It used every bit of it almost. Almost 5 quarts, 3 in the back, 2 in the front. We let this stop draining right here and put the plug back in it. Alright, while I was letting the front end stop dripping, I went ahead and started taking stuff apart so I could service the transmission. I got the cooler bracket in line, pulled back here. I got the cooler unbolted from the bottom where it mounts right here on the other side. I got the 2 trans lines pulled out, left them in the bracket. Just kind of wiggle them out. Make sure your rubber O-rings stay inside there so you have the seal going back. I took the 8mm out up there, and then I took this 10mm out back here, and I allowed that whole cooler assembly to drop down. Now I can start working these 10mm around these heat shields, get them off of there, and then start pulling the trans pan down. But before I do any of that, I'm going to go ahead and suck out what I can in the fluid from right here in the side port. I pulled the plug out already. It's 19mm and it's really tough. Like it'll almost have like a popping, cracking sound whenever you go to get it loose. But it'll come out, and then go ahead and suck as much fluid out as you can so you make less of a mess when you drop the pan. I put the switch in the reverse position, the suction position, and now it's pulling the trans fluid out of that into the container. So let's see how much fluid we get out of there right now. Alright, so once you get your 10 mils around, mind you, you're going to have to use a little ratcheting ratchet to get the 10 mils out back here, because they are a pain in the butt in front of this cross member right here. There's 2 10 mils that hold those little heat shields on right here, but then the other ones are all easy to get off. Once you take them all off, there's 1, 2, 3 in one, and then there's 1, 2, 3 in the other one. You're going to have to bend. You see how this normally sits flat like this. You have to bend this corner down a little bit on both of them to get them to slide out of there so you can service the trans. Now at this point, I've got all my transmission fluid out. How much did I pull out of there? I pulled 4 liters. What's that, like 4.5 quarts or something? Four liters, almost 4 3/4 liters, so 4.75 liters is what I pulled out. Now I'll go ahead and start taking the 13mm and the 8mm bolts out all the way around, and make sure you pay attention to where they go, because those shields need to go back on there. Alright, we got the cover off. You can see where my little drain tube is, right, or my suction tube is right there. Inside of the transmission looks super clean. We're going to go ahead and get the filter off. It's bolted up there. This is what the inside of the pan looks like. There's almost no material on that washer at all. Looks like just a real light edge. That's a really good sign. Somebody's taking good care of this transmission. Let's see. Where are we at? We got the new filter in. You can see nice and clean pleats. We're going to go ahead and put the pan back on and bolt everything up. And then we're going to start filling it up. I don't know why I'm a speech impediment there or something. I'm not sure. Well, we got it all put back together now. It's all back in where it belongs. No bolts missing. Everything tight. Heat shields put back where they go. Lines in with the gasket in. There's a seal that goes in the transmission, and then there's a seal that goes on the line, and then the 2 seals meet up in between. Those are there, none of them missing. Bolts back underneath here. Gotta tighten this 8mm up here real quick, and then I'm done with the transmission. I can start filling it up, and then I'm gonna move to the transfer case. Here, you can see we got fresh QLV LV transmission fluid. It's 2.9 pints, which comes out to just shy of 2 quarts. Shut it off, push the valve the opposite direction you want to go, and let's put everything underneath our shields, put our plug and stuff back in, put our bracket back over, and then we can move on to our brake flush and our coolant flush. Now let's go ahead and put it on the ground. Start the coolant flush and getting the transmission hot so we can check the transmission fluid level. Beautiful color of this truck, absolutely beautiful. So the fluid services, we have this RCS 542 machine. I'm not familiar with this. There's another tech here that's helping walk me through it. So basically, clean stuff goes in. You got a meter down here that tells you about what you got in there, what's left, and the used stuff goes in this side. And as you fill this through the low side nipple of the reservoir, it fills this as you're sucking it back out of the block, basically. So it's doing a complete cycle. And I've run the cleaner through it for about 15-20 minutes. And now I'm sucking all that stuff out of there while putting the new stuff in. But I needed to learn how to use this machine because I've never used it, and it makes things a lot easier. Here we are. You see how that's the color of the old antifreeze line that's in there before. I blew all that stuff out so it didn't mix with the new VC13 DLG. That's the yellow coolant from Ford. So you see how now all the green is gone? The reservoir is full. It's kind of settling down. And then this line over here started to get a little more like, what would you call it, a clearish yellow instead of like a fluorescent yellow like it was. And then all of, yeah, so it's a great machine. I actually like this machine. It makes things easy. You don't have to have the vehicle running to do the job. Just run 15-20 minutes before with cleaner in it if you want. And then, yeah, pump your old stuff out so you don't have to be an asshole to the next technician, and which you can clearly see somebody else had shit in there anyway. They were an asshole. But that's okay. All right, on to the next thing, brake flush. So now I have a kit from Robinair. And the way I have the coolant mixed up, it is a gallon of concentrate to a gallon of water, a gallon of concentrate to a gallon of water, evenly. And I looked through my refractometer here. You probably can't see. Maybe you can. There you are. You see the readings inside there? See the Fahrenheit Celsius column? Come on. It's been sitting here sliding off, but anyway, you can see the reading there. And if you spin it right and you get it perfectly for your eye, it was at negative 30 degrees, but I've been messing with it and it's been dripping off the end of it here, so it's not, but it's at negative 30 degrees, and this will tell you, it's called the refractometer. This will tell you a couple different fluid level protection, and this one says it's good to negative 30. And the refractometer that I use is by Robinair. It's a 75240 coolant and battery refractometer, but I know that there's other uses for it as well, I've heard people say. I couldn't film a lot of it. I couldn't film the whole brake flush. I needed 2 hands and it wasn't going to work. Anyway, you have a suction line and you have a pressure line. You pressurize the reservoir and you walk around with this wand and you put it on each bleeder as you suck it out. The fluid drops, shut the valve off, turn this back on, let it fill up some, close it, go back, do the next one, go back, do the next one, over and over and over again. And now we got fresh, full, .4 high performance brake fluid. Well, everything went good with the 2020 F150. The customer, actually, where I was cutting the video off at this last moment, the customer was actually there at the dealership. So I swung around to the front of the dealership, picked him up, we went for a test drive, came back, checked the transmission fluid again. It was a little bit low. We topped it off, and from there the customer basically took off, and when he got home he was like, hey man, it's driving really good, thanks for everything. And he was super understanding. My parts department, they kind of dropped the ball on getting certain parts, and they apologized for it, so it kind of set us back a little bit, but we were able to make it. I was able to get out with my family to go see the new Beetlejuice movie, so we're gonna spare you the misery of sitting through it. It wasn't that good. It was actually pretty bad, but I would probably give it a C. It was somewhat entertaining, but it wasn't as good as the original. And yeah, we got new shirts, Ford Boss Me shirts. On the back it says "Be Blessed." I posted the pictures in the community chat for you guys to see. Take care, love y'all, and I hope you like longer maintenance videos like these, because I'm going to do more of them if it's okay.